Alright guys, today we're going to be replacing a CV axle on a 99 Subaru Forester. Now I just have a cheap one for now, but I already have the tire off, and I loosened the axle nut, which for Subarus is a 32 millimeter, so they're kind of beefy. Now usually, see that little, it looks like a keyway, but it's not. The outer lip on these nuts is kind of a thinner metal, and what you're supposed to do when they're all the way down tight is take a punch and hit those so it kind of indents into that little keyway looking area, and that prevents the nut from backing off if, you know, for some reason it would vibrate loose or something, which is very unlikely. But you know, older cars, they had castle nuts, but these are a little different, that you just hammer a little indent and they should stay. But okay, so this one isn't even tight. Sometimes the splines that go through the hub itself, if it's like an OEM one, they can almost kind of fuse to it. And the trick for that, to break those loose, is, you know, spray the crap out of it with some kind of penetrant oil like WD-40, PB Blaster. You put the nut on a couple threads at least, then, you know, you can whack it with a BFH or a regular hammer. It doesn't have to be a vulgar hammer, but that should hit it enough to break it loose and not completely destroy excuse me, the threads, especially if this is an OEM axle that you're wanting to rebuild, like, you know, a boot tore and you want to take the boot off and reboot it and re-grease it. That's one way to save your threads and break it loose. But okay, so from in there, this one, it has a male stud coming out of the transmission, manual transmission on this one. Here, I can show you on the new one. So they slide over spline. So it's a female end for the CV axle on these years. I think like 93 to 2001 Impreza, Forester, Legacies, they all were like this. After that, they were male ends. But so I need to get a little drift pin, knock that out. The new axle comes with a new drift pin to put in there, so I'll be using that. But also, to get this out, what I need to do is take off the two strut bolts. I take those off, loosen the, I think it's a 10 millimeter bolt for the ABS sensor, and this one actually, metal was clipped a little bit, so that way we can take off the brake line and not have to unbolt it from the caliper and have to rebleed it. So that's actually just kind of in there and zip tied. So we'll take that off. These two nuts, which should be, I think, 19 millimeter. Now the top is a camber bolt. So what you want to do is, especially if you've just had it aligned or something, make a mark. So that way you know where the bolt is. You can put it back in the same way and not lose where it was before. And once that's out, this whole hub can kind of swing forward and a little bit out of the way, enough where you should be able to push the axle out, kind of angle it, you know, like jackknife it, I guess you could say. It should have enough space to pop it out, and once you have that drift pin out of the back, the axle should pop out. So I'm gonna start doing that and try to update you as I'm doing it. All right, so now on the inside, I got the drift pin out, locking pin, whatever you want to call it, and that's actually really easy to get out. All you really need is like a punch or a screwdriver or something that you don't care about that will fit through the hole, and, you know, a hammer. Now this one isn't a BFH, but it does the job. Got that, and I got the bolts, where are they, from the strut here off. Now this ABS sensor was a cut, and in correction, that bolt was not a 10 millimeter, it was a 12. Just a FYI. Okay, so it should be ready to drop forward. Let me see if I can't put you guys on a stand here and watch me struggle for a couple minutes here. A little bit further back. Sorry, this is a really cheap stand. All right, so it goes. That's free. Now if I can just turn that a little bit more. Pop that out. Jackknife the axle here, like I was saying. There we go. That free and pulls out. Just like that. And this inside was the one that had a bunch of slop to it, and it was clicking pretty darn badly. So yeah, so that's how easy that is to take out. It's actually easier than the other type, the male to male, in my opinion. But so it's out, like I said, on the inside there. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. Like I said, that is a male stud coming out. So just make sure that that's not leaking. There's a seal right there that you can replace. This one, yeah, it's not leaking. It's from above. This thing had some other leaks. But okay, so that's out. I will be putting in the new one, and it shouldn't be that hard. The most important thing when putting the new one in is align the holes with the ones on the transmission itself, so that way you know you can actually get the drift pin through. The splines on these, I mean, they're not too fine, but they're fine enough where you could be a spline off and wonder why it's not going in. So just be mindful of that. Try to have like the holes you know, like 12 o'clock straight up. That would probably make it easier, so when you're putting it in, you're not struggling as much. So I'm gonna do that. All right, so I got it lined up in there, the hole for the drift pin. Now it's kind of a tight area to try to get the drift pin, so you can't really like hold it and then hammer it in at the same time. So a trick that I like to do is take like a small socket, put it in the socket, and then put that like in an extension or something. So that way you can actually hold it in place when you're getting it started. After that, you know, you can use like a regular drift pin and drive it on through till it's like, at least like flush, because once it's flush, you know that both sides are engaged. So I'm gonna try to do that now. I'm not sure if I can get you guys under there to see. I will try. Oh. I am not the best cinematographer, so I apologize. And I'm using one of like the cheapest stands known to man as well. So if the camera falls, it's, oh shit, it's because of me. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get the camera up here, but like I said, it's right there. So yeah, I think my phone's a little too heavy for this mount. If it's further away. Let me try that, see if that works or not. Okay, so slide this through like that. Ah, crap, see? Oh boy. I'm so sorry. But I did get it started with the screwdriver and extension, so I'm gonna get a regular punch and drive that in and save you from my horrible camera angles. All right, so I got her knocked in right there. I got it flush in there. I don't know if my darn phone's gonna focus, but let's get out of here. And now I will get this axle back in here. But one thing I want to do first is put just a little anti-seize on it. This is a cheap axle, so chances are I might be replacing it before long. I just wanted to replace the one that was clicking horribly, so you know, a good cheap axle is better than a broken one. Okay, so let me try to set you down again, like such. This stand is horrible. And FYI, I don't know if you saw, I do have a jack stand on the car, so safety first. Actually, what I'm going to do is put some anti-seize in the spline. That way I'm trying to line up the actual CV axle here, I'm not getting covered in it, because if anyone has used anti-seize, they know it gets everywhere. You can have a drop on a bolt or something and somehow you get flipping covered in it. And there actually is a little bend in the ring here. I'm not sure if that's gonna make a difference or not, but all right, let's see. All right, so let me try to do it from this angle. Yep, there we go. All right, do that. Get it through. Let me get this axle nut on. Hold it in place. Enough where it's not going to pull back out. And then let me get these axle nuts, or not axle nuts, Jesus. Let me get these strap bolts started. Wiggle that in there. Now also for these, actually, I will put a dollop of anti-seize on those, because these were actually a little bit hard coming out, so boom, right in. Nut on that side. And then I said this one here is the camber bolt, so I don't know if you can see there's an egg shape to it. That always goes on the top, because, you know, without that, if it was a regular bolt, if your suspension was modified in any way, it would be thrown off if you lifted it or lowered it, anything like that. So I have them, like I said, I have that paint mark on this side, so I'm going to put it back in that way. Right in, look at that. I'll line up my paint mark. There she is. Now the top one had a washer as well. I think that just helps make it easier to adjust. And I will run these down with an impact. Where's my wrench? Just to run them in, then I will hand tighten them. Okay, my mark is still lined up. I will take my ratchet, give it a final tightening the nut side on the camber bolt, because you tighten it from the bolt itself, not the nut. It's going to move the setting there, and your alignment will be out. So I will tighten these down like such. Torque spec is Guten tight. I know this isn't a European car, but you know, it's about the same thing. Now, again, I live in Pennsylvania, so this is a northeastern car. Every bolt I put a little bit of anti-seize on it. I know this doesn't matter because this ABS sensor was deleted, but I will still put it back in because reasons. That I can just snug. And for that other side, I will click the finger back in there, and where did I put that place grip? There it is. I'll bend that tab back. Like I said, that was just bent. That way we didn't have to undo the brake line. So that'll do there. And then I can run down this axle nut. I forget if I said or not, the axle nut is a 32 millimeter. Yeah, she's a thick boy. So now to break it loose, what I did was I left the wheel on. Actually, let me show that real quick. I left the wheel on and popped out the center cap, and then with that off, it makes it so you can actually break the axle nut loose. So now what I will do is tighten it. I will snug it down anyway with the wheel off, and then when I put the wheel on, I can give it a final tightening. All right, so that's snug down. I'm gonna put the wheel on now and then give it the final tightening. All right, so now I'm all done. So I'm changing to different rims that are a different lug pattern. So I have adapter on, but that's not what this video is for. That's for the axle. But Okay, so I had to put the wheel on, drop on the weight on the wheel, and then tighten down the axle nut. And that's what I was talking about, how there's that divot. You're supposed to pound it in there just a little bit, and that will prevent the nut from loosening and backing out, because you don't want that, because this end of the CV axle actually holds like the hub assembly in place. Without that, your bearings are going to fail in short order. But that's changing a front CV axle on a 99 Subaru Forester, I guess, in a nutshell. It's really not that hard to do. You can do it with, punching out a pin, 19mm for the lug nuts, and the strut bolts, 12 for that sensor, and bend that tab out of the way, or cut it and bend it, and the 32mm for the axle nut. Other than that, I mean, that's basically all you need to change it. I just did that in under half an hour. Now, to be fair, it's not the first one I've done, but honestly, like you saw, basic hand tools, and it's achievable. So, good luck if you're gonna attempt this now. Hopefully it came out as easy as this one did. Obviously the one I replaced was not an OEM one, so it's been out before, which made it a lot easier. But good luck if you're doing it as well.